I have a home daycare. I like to think I'm pretty lenient, but I do have one big rule: don't make me the bad guy. I understand we might have different rules, but don't make your child resent me by not backing me up. Anyway, another rule is I don't allow outside toys or electronics. Kids can bring the stuffed animals for nap if they're sleeping on rest mats, but I don't want to be responsible if something gets broken. Years ago, I used to let kids bring whatever. Then a cheap McDonald's toy broke by accident, kid was upset and mom got mad at me. So now it's a hard rule. Most are okay with it. But I have a new kid, whose mom wanted him to bring his tablet because he needs it. I said sorry, but no. I'm not going to be responsible for it. We went back and forth, but finally she just says fine. But every morning, he's crying because she took his tablet from him in the car. She always gives me this look and says, "Miss Lucy says no tablet." I always try to say we have plenty of toys, but the kid spends the whole morning sulking. I've talked to mom, asked her to leave it at home and not even put it in the car, but she says he needs it. It's been a month and yesterday was the straw that broke the camel's back. Kid came in crying as usual. I tried my usual redirection, which didn't work. Mom was giving me a look of, "See what you did?" Then she had the nerve to say to him, "I know you need your tablet, we've talked about this before, Miss Lucy is strict." That pissed me off. I ended up telling her to take him home right then and there. She was shocked and tried to stammer. He was my first kid of the day, so there was no scene. I just handed back his backpack, said he was no longer a student of mine, and began to pack his extra clothes and the sippy cup he kept. Mom was in tears as she left. My husband thinks she was right. I'm too strict and should have broken policy instead of causing drama. There was no medical need for the tablet. It was all just that he wanted it. I'm not making a waiver for electronics. That won't stop other issues with the tablets, such as jealousy and drama, so my "don't make me the bad guy" rule has been misunderstood, partly as I worded it poorly. I don't expect blind obedience. No one has to agree with my rules. They can challenge them, to me. But to their kid, I'd rather them explain everyone has different rules and that while they're with me, things will be different. I do the same with parents who have different rules than mine. I never say they're wrong or strict. I say that we have different rules at school and to listen to mom and dad. This is also a policy for pacifiers, bottles, and potty training. I'll approach any of these milestones when you ask, but you have to be working on it at home too. The kid won't progress if they only go pee on the potty at home. And the child was not autistic or non-verbal. If he was, an exception would be made. I returned her money for the last few days of January and texted an apology for terminating without notice, and said I hope she was able to find care. She said she left him at her mom's. She also asked if there was any way I'd reconsider, and I said no. We had a long phone call and no minds were changed, but it was the ending we should have had. My ex Rose and I have a son, Jason. He is 15 years old. We broke up when Jason was 5. Rose has Jason on weekends. Rose married her now husband when Jason was 10. Her husband has 2 children, they are 17 and 16 and live full-time with them. Jason has a few chores when he's with them and easily takes care of them, while his step-siblings don't do theirs and Rose take care of them. This has been the only point of contention between our son and her. He has talked with her and even went to therapy. It was when Jason was 12 when we switched days. We stayed like that for a year and a half, but since things never really got better, we went back to our initial agreement. The situation is still the same, and a year ago Jason came to me complaining about it. I had run out of things to say to him when it comes to this subject, so I threw almost the same pep talk my old man said to me when I was about the same age as him. I told him that I understand that it sucks. While they can't do anything, you can do everything. You can cook, clean, do well in school, drive, handle your own money, and you even know how to handle the bills, and I'm not counting the things you've learned from your grandparents and your uncle. I can send you to live alone right now like my old man did with me, an inside joke. And I wouldn't worry, because even if you don't know how to do them, you take the time to learn. You are already ahead of many kids your age, even ahead of some adults. Do your part, and as long as she doesn't make you do their chores, let your mother take care of it. Just focus on spending time with her the way you've been doing so far. The world is going to hit your step-siblings hard one day. Jason took it well and things have been going well until yesterday. He went out with his mother and when they returned, they found their house a complete mess. I don't know what they did, but it was bad enough that Rose snapped and finally forced them to clean the house. The kids tried to get Jason to help them because they were struggling, but he refused, claiming it wasn't his mess. They kept nagging him and Jason told them that I was right, they are really useless. His mother asked him if I really said that. He said I didn't, but it can be summed like that. He called me at night telling me that he probably got me in trouble and explained the situation. Rose with her husband came today about what I said. I told them that I never called them useless and explained what I said. But useless never leave their minds and told me I'm an asshole and to stay out of their business. Rose and her husband comments were more about her kids, who I don't care, but when it comes to my son, of course I will. Jason wasn't standing there looking smug and calling them useless, he was in his room minding his business. The constant nagging and his mother's inability to stop them make him snap, that's when he called them useless. He knows he should ignore them or be more tactful, but I get it, his patience has limits just like everyone else. He apologized to his step-siblings before he came back to my house yesterday. He also apologized to me for kinda throwing me under the bus, but I told him it was unnecessary, everything cool between us. Why did he keep going to his mother? He wanted. Last year he was on the fence about going back, but after our talk, he finally accepted that his mother wasn't going to change and he decided to work around that because he still wanted a relationship with her. Their relationship actually got better, but after what happened, their relationship is going to change. We have to wait if it is for better or for worse. Him and I talked and he's still thinking about what to do, but he says that he'll probably do what he had planned last year. He will spend time with her but will not go to her house anymore. He's taking a few days to let things settle down and then he'll let his mother know. She is not going to like it, but alas, she's not in a position to demand or ask. When I was a teenager, my dad bought me a classic 1972 Ford Bronco. It was my true passion and I don't recall a memory from high school that somehow doesn't involve that truck. Plus my dad and I would spend hours and hours working on it together and we went through that especially father/son rough patch. When I was teenager it was always that Bronco that brought us back together. I made a huge mistake and sold the truck when I turned 19 and my dad died of a heart attack 2 months later, so while not logical, I've always felt a karmic connection between the two events. We had a baby in early February. She is our first and the light of my life. My wife is doing well, but she's back at work and she's realized that she hates all the daycares we've tried and really wants to be a stay-at-home mom, and plus she's still very hormonal from delivery. Lack of sleep and breastfeeding, so she's having a rough time and is angry a lot. I guess I need to say this. 2 weeks ago I was driving through our town's warehouse district and saw a Bronco that was pretty beat up but resembled mine. I stopped just for nostalgia's sake and the owner came out and let me take a look inside. My dad and I had glued a wheat penny under the dash as sort of security measure, so I just sort of checked and goddamned if it wasn't my Bronco. I asked him if he'd ever consider selling it. He said actually someone was on I-25 as we spoke from Colorado to buy it for $21,000. I freaked out and asked him if I could buy it right then and there for $23,000. He said if I could come up with the cash, yes. I had been procrastinating setting up a 529, so I had $12,000 in savings that my wife's parents had given us. I maxed out my credit card to Venmo and my mom bought down a check for $4,000 and I drove away in my old car. It was like a dream come true. Like a literal dream come true. It needs a lot of work I can't afford right now, but it's mine. Like in my driveway, mine. Again. I can't even describe what a joy this is. My wife and her parents are furious with me. They feel I was deceptive, that a real man would have sacrificed anything and everything so my wife could go stay at home with his kids, and that's setting aside that they gave us the money for a college fund. My point is my daughter is only 6 months old, we have 18 years to set up a college fund of her. But this Bronco means everything to me, and if I wouldn't have acted it would have been gone forever. Now it can be that same connection between me and my kids. To me it's the literal meaning of happiness. I talked with my mom and she is basically going to buy the Bronco from me in order to refill the college fund and pay off the credit card. The $4,000 will be a gift and she's going to give me whatever I need to restore it. She's always been awesome to me and she's rather the money be spent now than wait for me and my sister's inheritance. I didn't tell my wife that my mom bailed me out and lied and said I found a buyer for the Bronco. I'll figure out how to cross that bridge when I get there, but my wife was so relieved that I had come to your senses. I don't want to disappoint her. It's going to take all my lying skills to pull this one off over the next few years. My brother-in-law, Sammy, lost his home shortly after his divorce 10 months ago. He moved in with us and brought his twin daughters, Olivia and Sloane 18, with him a couple of months ago. His sister, my wife, and I have one daughter, Zoe 16, and she and her cousins aren't close but get along fine. Olivia and Sloane have no respect for Zoe's privacy, none. They used to walk into her room and take everything they get their hands on. Makeup, phone accessories, clothes, school laptop, etc. Zoe complained a lot and I've already asked the girls to respect Zoe's privacy and stop taking things. My wife and Sammy saw no issue with this. After all, they're girls and this typical teenage girl's behavior. I completely disagreed. Last straw was when Zoe bought a $60 M.A.C makeup kit that looks like a paint set that she saved up for over a month, and one of the girls, Sloane, took it without permission and ruined it by mixing shades together while using it. Don't know much about makeup, but that's what Zoe said when she found the kit on her bed, and was crying. I told my wife and she said she'd ask Sloane to apologize, but I got Zoe a lock after I found she was moving valuable belongings out the house because of this incident. Sammy and his daughters saw the lock and weren't happy. The girls were extremely upset. Sammy asked about it and I straight up told him. He said, "My daughters aren't thieves. It's normal that girls of the same age borrow each other's stuff." He said Zoe could easily get another makeup kit for $15 from Walmart and shouldn't even be buying expensive adult makeup in the first place, and suggested my wife take care of this defect in Zoe's personality, trying to appear older than she is. He accused me of being overprotective and babying Zoe with this level of enablement. I told him this between me and my wife, but she shamed me for putting a lock on Zoe's door for her cousins to see and preventing them from spending time with her, saying I was supposed to treat them like daughters. Then demanded I remove it, but I said this lock does not get removed till her brother and his daughters are out of our house. She got mad I was implying we kick them out and said her family'll hate me for this. So I reminded her that I let Sammy and his family move, in which something her own family refused to do, so she should start with blaming them for not taking their own son and niece's granddaughters in. If it wasn't for her family's unwillingness to help, we wouldn't be dealing with this much disturbance at home. Everyone's been giving me and Zoe silent treatment and my wife is very much upset over this.